Well, thank you very much for having me today. I am a CEO and founder of Gelsana. I've been a biomaterial scientist for most of my career now. And so we've been developing novel polymers that are intentionally designed to help improve healing. And we have a particular initial focus, at least, on chronic wounds and more complicated wounds like burns as well. If you take a look at chronic wounds, one of the major types are diabetic ulcers, which often start on the bottom of patients' feet. In this country, we are spending $78 billion a year caring for diabetic wounds, and yet still, despite that level of care, every 20 seconds, a patient is losing a limb due to a diabetic foot ulcer that wouldn't heal, became infected, and ultimately led to amputation. So these statistics alone are enough to say that the current standard of care is not sufficiently meeting patient needs. Why is that? The diabetic condition leads to high overactive inflammation. So these wounds and other types of chronic wounds are just chronically inflamed, and the current standard of care does not address that. So we've developed special polymer materials that are actually inherently anti-inflammatory. They evade the foreign body reaction. They prevent bacterial adhesion or biofilm formation due to the charge density that we've built into the polymer backbone. And we've engineered in the ability for controlled drug delivery from these materials as well, paving the way for additional products in the future, all meant towards improving patient outcomes. We're heading first to the market with a product called Clarigel. Actually, later this summer, we're anticipating clinical launch of this first product. This is a polymer material. It will be considered a Class 1 medical device by the FDA. So later this summer, we can register with the FDA and immediately begin clinical use. There's no clinical trials required to, or approval really for this product. As you can see, this product can be extruded and it can be stretched into sheets and wrapped around wounds. The handling of the material is really unique. It will definitely set us apart from competitors, as well as providing the superior healing and benefit. Just to give you an idea of some of the data that we have, we can show that we can reduce inflammation if we take macrophages, which are a type of cell found in wound beds, a type of immune cell. In, I guess, healthy tissue, if you will, they don't have inflammatory response. But if you do induce the inflammation, they'll secrete molecules to signal really high inflammatory conditions. They tend to remain chronically stuck in that phase in these chronic wounds. If we co-culture those with our materials, we can see that the inflammation will drop to the level of our control cells. We also, because of the charge density in the polymer, we can completely repel bacteria, so they are unable to stick to these materials. And then, of course, the healing response is super important. So if we take diabetic animals that take a longer time to heal than their healthy counterparts, a single application of our polymer material is able to help these diabetic animals heal at the order at which healthy animals are healing. So our polymer is correcting what we call the diabetic impairment wound healing. We've done some head-to-head trials against some lead competitors, other types of hydrogel wound dressing materials, and we do see improved outcomes, again, in these impaired animal model. And then this just highlights our ability to embed drugs into these polymers and achieve really controlled drug release over time. And again, if we put the drug-laden polymers on diabetic animal wounds, we see significant gains in healing, in some cases reducing the healing by half of the time of our control animals. So these will pave the way for future products that we're working on. Outside of chronic wounds, we've seen a lot of DoD interest. We actually just 2 weeks ago received notification that the Air Force is going to be granting us a $1.25 million phase 2 SBIR specifically focused on severe burn wounds, another type of wound that has high inflammation, reduced vascularization. This class of polymers has been shown to be antifibrotic, and so there are applications in the future in reducing scars. And then we've also had reach out from cosmetics and electrodes and veterinary medicine markets that are interested in our materials for different applications. But right now, we're really focused on getting our first product and subsequent products out to the wound care market. We are planning to drive our revenue growth via a multiple product pipeline. We're under contract with a contract manufacturing organization in the US for manufacturing our products. And initially, we're planning to sell directly to hospitals, wound care clinics, podiatry offices. Eventually, as a Class 1 medical device, we can actually also sell direct to consumer, but that'll be down the road. We're looking at distribution contracts to really scale our revenue and our sales. We're interested in out-licensing some of these other market opportunities that I mentioned, but ultimately we're looking for exit via acquisition. This just gives you an idea of our current product pipeline. So we're heading first to the market with Clarigel this summer. Following that up with a polymer laden with an antimicrobial, which will increase our indications for use into more infection-prone wounds. And then we're also working on polymer plus therapeutic drug device combination products for specific indications such as diabetic foot ulcer. Right now, I'm raising a $1.5 million seed 2 round. We actually did an initial close over the holidays, and we're seeking the remaining $450,000 with the ability to oversubscribe. With just a little bit more funding, this round is actually going to let us get Clarigel into the clinical market, which of course is a major milestone for our company. So our lead investor is Enosphere Ventures. We set this up as a preferred equity round with $8.5 million pre-money valuation. And again, as I said, we're seeking about another $450,000 $2 million. Ultimately, we're seeking acquisition opportunities through major players in the wound care field. So these are some examples of recent and relevant acquisition deals that some of them have undergone. And finally, our team. So I am founder and CEO. We have a CFO and also a CCO, Chief Commercialization Officer, that have been helping us position the business and our first sales coming up here. We have a director of R&D that's leading our scientific staff in the lab. Our board of directors, we have Mike Freeman, who's the CEO of Enosphere Ventures, our lead funder, and Jim Kasich is president of Boulder IQ with decades of experience in medical device commercialization, regulatory manufacturing. We're starting to build out our clinical advisory board. So we have a podiatrist and a surgeon currently on board. And then we've been fortunate to have many strong advisors over time. And some of them are shown here that are helping us with positioning our business and our first product launched this year. So with that, I thank you for your attention and time and happy to take questions.
Thank you so much, Melissa. We'll take questions from the audience.
Just going to ask quickly, like a product like that, what's the shelf life? Like how long?
Yeah, so our first product we know is room temperature stable for at least a year, and it can handle being frozen and then all the way up to 60 degrees Celsius. So we're also looking for the DoD actually really likes it because we can deploy it into austere environments for a long time. And hopefully the 1 year we can extend as we continue our shelf life.
Hello, Melissa. Congratulations. So I have 2 questions. Where do you manufacture? And also if you're looking for distribution just in the US or you are looking for going further?
Great question. So right now we're working with a small contract manufacturing company in Boulder, Colorado. Boulder IQ is the company name. And they do medical device manufacturing, quality systems, regulatory, all of that. So that's our piece for that. And then right now we're looking at launching in the US initially, but we do have plans to expand beyond that. So we're looking, the next target would be Europe and then Asia starting in Japan. So we do have those plans, but they're a little bit further out. Just need to raise the resources to ultimately get there. But
take one more question.
I'm wondering your IP position and IP strategy. What is the current IP status?
Great question as well. So we have 4 key patents that were all, initially patented through the Colorado School of Mines, which is a university in Colorado. We have exclusively licensed all of that IP from the university into Gelsana. So Gelsana now has exclusive license to all 4 pieces of IP, and they cover composition of matter, the use of this technology as a platform for controlled drug delivery, and also the methods of use in treating inflammatory conditions.
You mentioned raising the money for clinical trials. Can you talk a little bit about the process of clinical trials? What does that look like? What are some of the challenges?
Yeah, so our first product, Clarigel, does not have clinical trials required. So it's we do the biocompatibility testing the FDA wants to see. We register with the FDA, and plus or minus 30 days from FDA registration, we can begin clinical use. So no formal trials required. That said, we know, so we have KOL, key opinion leaders that are ready to use our product when it's launched later this year. We have letters of intent from local wound care clinics around us. So we're going to use those friendlies, if you will, to use this product for the first time in human use. And what we're doing right now is we're mapping out with them, I would say clinical studies is a better word, so that we can see healing gains with our product in humans. And effectively, that's a marketing tool. So then that can get us into additional wound care clinics, hospitals, and so forth across the country as we continue to expand. Hopefully that addresses your question.
Thank you so much, Melissa.
Thank you.